Thank you for being here today. I'm excited to be able to talk to you about the art and science of teaching chemistry. So let me tell you first about an experience that I had in high school. I will never forget the biology teacher that I had in high school. He told me that I wasn't smart enough to go to college. And unfortunately, that type of story is something I've heard an uncomfortable number of times from students over my 16 years of teaching, whether they were told that they weren't smart enough to go to college or smart enough to succeed in a math or a science class. That unfortunately has been a common story that's been relayed to me. And I'd like to tell you about some firsts as we go along today. So during my first teaching job, I was a chemistry and math teacher in an inner city charter high school. And after my first year of teaching, I volunteered for that very first summer to teach remedial algebra class. Over the summer, it was going to be an intensive algebra class, the entire semester of Algebra 1, in 2.5 weeks. The class was 8 hours a day. I can hear some murmuring. And I'm sure that's how the students felt at first, hearing that they were signed up for this summer course. And what I discovered when I met my students, most of whom were African American or Latino students, was that many of them, this was not their first time taking Algebra 1. Many of them had already flunked Algebra 1 2 or 3 times before coming to my class that summer. And it didn't take very long for me to realize that I needed to do much more than teaching Algebra 1 content. I needed to make sure that the students believed that it was even possible for them to be successful in the Algebra 1 course. And that's an idea that I'll come back to again and again this morning, is that when you're teaching a STEM course, whether it's a math course or later I'll be talking about chemistry, it's much more than teaching content. It's often teaching people to believe that they can master that content. So if you Google an image of the STEM workforce, you'll see an image like this. And unfortunately, it's not representative at all. Historically, and even presently, the percentage of STEM professionals that are women or non-Caucasian does not even begin to match their percentage of the population overall. They're quite underrepresented. In fact, among the people that enroll in college to study a STEM career, a STEM major leading to a STEM career, of the 3 million that begin college with that declared STEM major, half of them will not continue in the STEM major till graduation. And an even smaller percentage of female and non-Caucasian students will graduate with that STEM degree they were so excited to declare when they enrolled in college. If you look at the educational statistics right now, among the students that have earned a Bachelor of Science, Technology, Engineering, or Math degree, only 7% are African American. Only 13% are of Latino descent. Our STEM workforce does not look like this. And one question is, why? How many of the students, even before they come to college or as they're experiencing college, hear statements like that biology teacher had told me? So Henry Ford actually had a lot to say about beliefs. He said that whether you believe you can or believe you cannot, you're right. And researchers about 12 years ago, studying people's chemistry beliefs, said that students, by choice, who don't believe that they will be successful in chemistry will either avoid chemistry or put forth as little effort as possible because they don't believe that they'll be successful. This has real ramifications as far as persistence in STEM disciplines. Now, that construct of believing that you'll be successful in a particular subject area, in a particular domain, is known as self-efficacy. And self-efficacy is very domain dependent. So a person may have very high English self-efficacy, but very low math self-efficacy. It doesn't mean that they believe sort of across the board that they're a good student. It's very domain specific. And one of the predominant researchers about self-efficacy, about belief in one's ability to be successful in a particular domain, was Alfred Bandura. And Bandura said that there were 4 areas, 4 avenues that you could actually increase, purposefully increase someone's self-efficacy in a domain. And the first of those is mastery experiences. So one of the key ways that I increased the math self-efficacy of that first group of remedial algebra students was I gave them lots of opportunities to solve algebra problems that they would be successful. I purposefully asked students to answer questions in class when I knew that they would be successful, so they felt that success, and I could build on that success of their multiple mastery experiences as they develop into becoming more self-efficacious in math. In a chemistry setting, again, a lot of chemistry is algebra-based. So building students' confidence, their self-efficacy in chemistry is often rooted in how many mastery experiences they have solving similar mathematical problems in the classroom and in the laboratory as well. If you want to raise someone's ability, their belief in their ability to be good at chemistry, make sure that they've had mastery experiences working in the laboratory and seeing the excitement of the experiments working well. Give them mastery experiences. The second way that Bandura said that you could increase someone's self-efficacy in a domain is by verbal persuasion. And this is definitely a key component of increasing someone's self-efficacy in a domain, particularly if they come in with low or little self-efficacy. Tell them that you can do it. And more than that, encouragement that's very specific in certain ways. So not just saying, I know you can do it, but praising character traits like persistence, like patience, praising as students have progressively accomplished harder and harder examples, harder techniques maybe in the laboratory, harder problems mathematically. Praising their accomplishments goes toward persuading them that they actually can be successful in that domain. The third way that Bandura said that you could influence someone's self-efficacy is vicarious experience. And we all know how important role models are, but particularly if you are a non-Caucasian or a female or both in a science setting, having role models that have been successful or are successful currently is critical for raising an individual's belief that they will be successful in that domain as well. So many different institutions and organizations have stories projects that help provide vicarious experience to young people and college students in particular to make sure that they have role models in media, even if they don't have a role model in person. So the Smithsonian, the National Archives, Several colleges like Clemson University and Auburn University have stories projects that share the success stories of women and non-Caucasians in STEM fields. And that is an important means of raising someone's self-efficacy in chemistry, is to show them that there are people that look like them that are successful in chemistry before them. And the fourth way that Bandura said that we can improve self-efficacy is by managing emotional psychological states. And there are a lot of ways that we can do that in a classroom. Creating an inclusive classroom where there's encouragement and praise, and having students feel comfortable brainstorming out loud and be respectful of one another, and it's okay to be wrong, it's more important that you try. Those types of social norms, cultivating those is very important. In addition, there's an acronym called REJECT that's very helpful for remembering different ways that we can manage the emotional states. So R is for rituals. E is for encouragement, and I've spoken about what kind of encouragement is the helpful kind. Providing jobs, showing empathy, being considerate, and having someone feel that they're part of that school family. Those are all ways that you help increase not just a sense of belonging, but even more of a sense of self-efficacy, that they will be successful in that. And lastly, as far as influencing the emotional, psychological experience for students in a classroom, normalizing that struggle is part of the learning process. It doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. And I feel that that is, in particular, one of the most important messages that I convey as an instructor in organic chemistry classes. That if it feels like it's challenging, that's all right. It's supposed to be. It's like building muscle. You develop muscle when you lift the weights that are the heaviest for you, right? So I employed these 4 avenues of increasing chemistry self-efficacy in a mixed methods research study that I performed at 2 different universities. So first, I administered the Chemistry Attitudes and Experiences questionnaire at the beginning of a semester to a general Chemistry 1 class of students. And after analyzing how they had responded with their perceptions of chemists, their perceptions of chemistry jobs, their perceptions of chemistry research, of chemistry in the media, and also, most importantly, their chemistry self-efficacy at that baseline. And based on how the students responded to that CAEQ instrument, I designed curricular enhancements for that semester. And here's a few of them. So we had a chemistry in everyday life that students investigated different ways that chemistry influenced products or occurrences from their everyday life. And they would investigate things like, how does sunscreen work? How do geckos seem to climb glass, which seems like it wouldn't be possible? Why can't we put pineapple in Jell-O and make a fruit salad that way? Why can you put peaches but not pineapple? And they would investigate these different topics to get excited about chemistry, and then talk to people outside of class, and then report back on their experiences doing that. They similarly had investigated chemistry in the media and started to realize that movies, documentaries were accessible to them, even though they hadn't initially thought that they had very high possibility of understanding chemistry topics. They found that that was actually not the case. One of the most powerful interventions that I did to influence chemistry self-efficacy among these students was to have them investigate female and non-Caucasian Nobel laureates and how they had faced challenges, overcome challenges, and then were ultimately successful. And they also investigated chemistry jobs and did reflections on what transferable job skills they had already learned in General Chemistry 1 that would be beneficial in careers. After doing a semester of these self-efficacy boosting interventions, at the end of the semester, the students retook that chemistry attitudes and experiences questionnaire, and some of the students participated in interviews as well, so that they could give more insights than just taking a survey instrument. What I found when I conducted this study at the first institution was that there was a significant improvement in not just chemistry self-efficacy, but in perceptions of chemists and perceptions of chemistry research among the students that had been involved with these self-efficacy boosting interventions. And it worked so well. The study even demonstrated that course grades were significantly higher than comparable students in an earlier semester that had not enjoyed the self-efficacy interventions. So it's very, very exciting, because remember, if a student doesn't believe that they will be successful in chemistry, they either choose to avoid it or put forth as little effort as possible. So if the students' grades have gone up, it's one more bit of evidence, in addition to their survey responses, to show that their belief in their ability to be successful had also increased. I repeated the study at a different institution, totally different type of demographics and setting in the second institution, but found the same results. Same significant improvement in the CAEQ scores, the Chemistry Attitudes and Experiences Questionnaire. And even more exciting than that, when I drilled down which demographics of students are at the root of that significant overall difference in the student survey responses, it was females and non-Caucasian students. That was the root of the significance of the difference in the studies. And then drilling into the interviews, there is one particular quote in all of the interviews that still vibrates in my mind. And that was this particular student, first semester of general chemistry, so a freshman course. Early in the semester, she had met with me privately to tell me that she didn't believe that she belonged in a science class. And she was one of the students that was a participant in that self-efficacy study. I can tell you now, she has graduated, and she's going to graduate school in a STEM field. I can also tell you that that first group of students, after my first year of teaching, that took that remedial algebra class for the third or fourth time, right, trying algebra, not only did all of them successfully complete Algebra 1 with me that summer, but all of them graduated from high school. Some of them the first person in their family to graduate from high school. And all of them were admitted to college. So what I'd like to remind you is that there are 4 ways that you can change someone's self-efficacy with respect to math or chemistry or some other domain using the theories from Bandura. You can provide mastery experiences. You can utilize verbal persuasion. You can provide vicarious experiences and role models. And you can manage the emotional, psychological states in your classroom setting. Thank you.